Hey there. I'm going to start my own YouTube channel, and I think it's going to be called Cooking in the Van with Ann. I'm not sure about that yet, but that's what I'm thinking. Because I like to eat good food, and we're living in the van, and I don't want just beans and hot dogs every night, and I like to eat well and healthy. So not to say that I don't go out once in a while, but I'm going to do a meatless shepherd's pie. I've made it before, and I'll show you how to do it, and let's see how it goes. All right, here we go. So one might ask, how do you do a meatless shepherd's pie out here? So I'm going to start with my potatoes. I'm going to do the white potatoes for the topping, and I'm going to have sweet potatoes for some of the filling, as well as tomatoes, mushrooms, and veg-all. I'm going to fry up some onions and peppers on the other stove, and then add some gravy, but I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to peel the potatoes first, and I'm actually going to cook them in my Instant Pot and get them going, and then start my onions and peppers on the stove. Alright, so I'm going to put about a cup of water in my Instant Pot, put my sweet potatoes on the bottom. I don't always peel them, I like the skin on them. You can peel them if you want. I did peel my white potatoes, and I put them in a separate bowl, and they'll fit right on top. I did put a little bit of water, just to keep it moist. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper to the potatoes, like that. Alright, and then I'm going to seal it, and we're going to cook it for about 8 minutes. So I have my Instant Pot charged or plugged into my Go Zero. And I'm going to set it now. So I'm going to hit pressure cook. I'm going to go about 8 minutes. I'm going to make sure that it's sealed. So I'm going to shut that like that. And now I'm going to go start my onions and peppers while that's cooking. And to see what it's drawing, to start out, it's drawing 603 to get to pressure on it. So that's why I like the 3-quart, because with this I can't draw more than 1200, so the 600 is perfect. So that's where we're at. I have a fan running as well too right now, so it's all good. An onion and a pepper. I like the sweet onions. I'm going to cut those up now. I washed and cleaned out my peppers. Oh, there's a little bit of seed there. I'll take them out. My onions, and I'm going to put them in a pan with some oil. I like olive oil, good olive oil, but you can use vegetable oil, however you like, butter. Your choice, but I like a good olive oil. So I started my flame. I like cast iron over gas. It's my choice if I can. And I'm going to add some olive oil. And there we go. And I'm going to let it do its magic. There we go. And I'm going to do everything in this one pan once the potatoes are done. I'm going to add the sweet potatoes to it. And then what I'm going to do is add the canned stuff and the gravy. And then I'm going to do the potatoes on top, and I'm actually going to use the olive oil as my to whip up my potatoes, because we don't carry butter. I don't have a refrigerator. I have a cooler because I don't really eat a whole lot of meat when we're on the road. So so I decided to actually do this because my friend Cheryl, hi Cheryl, has said I can put anything, and AKA she says I can put poop in a pot and then make it taste good. So I wanted to show people that you can eat good and travel, and you don't have to just eat packaged stuff. You can actually eat some good stuff and stay healthy. So here we go. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to open up my cans. I'm going to drain the liquids. I have a little container that I drain all the extra liquids into to prevent any animals from coming along. Don't pay attention to this. That's Lily's food. We're not going to use that tonight, and hopefully ever. Okay, this is the gravy mix that I use, and the gravy, any kind of gravy, I buy the whatever I can find. We were out camping, not camping, but we were out in Quartzsite, and there wasn't a whole lot to choose from, so I got this one, and it's just like any other. And we like our stuff a little spicy, so I'm going to add some crushed red pepper and some chili powder. Alright, so I'm going to pre-mix this as well, and I'm going to go check on my onions and peppers. They're coming along quite nicely. Getting a nice brown to my onion. I lowered the heat a little bit. This burner runs hot on me sometimes. Got to keep an eye on that. Alright, so there we go. So they're cooking up nicely. Mixed up my gravy, and about a cup of water I added to it. So that's ready to go. I'm going to set that aside. Working on my Instant Pot. It's still trying to get to pressure, which is normal. I don't know if you can hear it, but it'll be there any minute. Okay, so it has reached its pressure. The little piton here is up. It stopped making that noise, and it's going to start counting down any second now. It takes a minute to register sometimes. And let's see what it's drawing. It's still drawing the 6, but that should stop any second now. Let's go check on the peppers. Okay, so it's starting to count down at 8, so that's good. And let's see what the draw is. It's down to like 13, which is probably my fan. So now it's just going to cook on its own. Everything's looking good. The peppers are maybe a little more brown than I'd like, but they're coming along quite nicely. I like cast iron. It's supposed to give you actually extra iron when you're cooking. It's good for your diet. I just like how everything tastes. So it's one of my favorite things to cook with. And I like gas. I'm still getting used to it. I grew up on electric. So gas for me, even though I like cooking with it, it's still a learning curve. But don't be afraid of it. Kind of work with it. See how it works for you. So I'm going to add what I just opened. I opened up my can of tomatoes. I'm going to open those up. I drained those. I've got a little bin that I drain into because I don't want animals coming around my campsite. And then I put the lid on it. I picked this up for 25 cents at a Goodwill store or Salvation Army. Alright, so there goes the tomatoes. And you can, if you don't like tomatoes, don't add tomatoes. Add whatever you like. And then I'm going to add the mushrooms. If I can get the can open. Hold on. Add my mushrooms. I'm going to kind of cut my tomatoes up a little bit. I don't always add tomatoes, but I kind of was feeling in a tomato-y kind of mood today. So I wanted them, so I'm going to put them in there. There we go. I'm going to add the can of Vedral. And there's not a whole lot of sodium in it. It's like 290 sodium. Some you can get less than that. I think actually this one's higher than I usually get. The 290 is not too bad. Try to watch that as well with the canned stuff. Try to get the low sodium, just because you don't need that added salt. And it's only got 2 sugars. That's the other thing I like. Not a whole lot of sugar in it. I'm going to mix it all around, and I'm going to let it simmer. I'm going to add the gravy next, and let the potatoes continue cooking. I'm going to let this kind of simmer all together. Now the potatoes cooking won't be a big deal because sweet potatoes will already be cooked, and they don't need to like simmer in with these guys. And these guys you just kind of want all to blend together. I just like sweet potato. I like the how it tastes with it, so I always try to add a little bit in with it. So, but it will be cooked by the Instant Pot. So, and then we'll whip up the other potatoes and get it in. So let me go grab that gravy. This is Lily. She's my big helper. She's my big helper because she stays out of the way when I'm in the kitchen. She knows Mama's busy. Huh? Don't you? Yeah, I know. I see you. So I'm adding my gravy. Now I know some people are going to say, oh, that gravy's really bad. And it probably is. It's probably the worst thing you could use. But I try to usually buy more of a vegan or more non-GMO. But I was limited in what I could buy. And I figured the vegetables versus this gravy would outweigh it. And because the gravy just gives it a nice flavor. And I'm going to add my spices next. So I turned the heat up a little bit. You probably can't see it just because I have a lot. See, now it's starting to boil. So I'm going to lower it because I just kind of wanted to get it so the gravy would thicken. That's what you want. You want to kind of put your heat up a little bit, wait for a little slight boil, and then lower your heat. And then I'm going to add my spices. I like, again, chili powder. Don't go crazy with it unless you really like it crazy hot. And the crushed red pepper, which a little goes a long way too. on that stuff. So, but it gives it a nice flavor. So again, I do eat meat. I'm not going to say I'm a vegetarian, because I'm not. But when we're out traveling, meat's kind of a pain to store, and I don't like to have a refrigerator because it's noisy and it puts heat out, and it's hot enough out here as it is. So we do eat a lot of vegetables and try to cook different. But I do eat chicken, but it's really expensive lately. And beef once in a while. Try to buy the good stuff when we do eat it, because otherwise it's really not worth it. And I do love bacon, because bacon does make everything better. So, alright, I'm gonna go check on my potatoes, and they're almost done, I think. I covered it to keep the flies off. I don't want them to come visit my lovely dinner, so I've covered it, and I left a little bit of a crack. I'm gonna get a hot pot handle for that, because I don't want to burn myself when I come back. My potatoes have just beeped, and they're at 0. So I'm going to let them sit just for a second, and then I'm going to release it. And my potatoes should be done. And I don't want them too mushy, but I want them soft. So I'm going to let them sit just for a minute. The little button has not gone down, and I'm going to help it along in about a minute. So I'm going to let everything simmer, and we'll check on this in a second. Bubbling quite nicely. It's kind of what I want to see. Just going to mix it around a little bit. Let it thicken up. As the gravy cooks, it will thicken. Typically you can cook it, if you're at home and you want to use a separate pan, you could thicken it beforehand, but I like to do just one pan as most I can. This wipes out easy, so for the dish doer, that would be me. This just wipes out, and the Instant Pot is really easy to clean as well. And then we'll just have 2 plates and 2 forks. So keep it down to a minimum for the dishwasher. That's at a pretty low, kind of simmering kind of flame. You don't want it too high, because you don't want it to boil over. So it's been resting for about 3 minutes. I'm going to release the valve, and you can put a towel over it. I don't actually have one handy, so I'm going to use my pot holder. And see it's releasing. I'm going to let that release. I don't want it in my van, so I took it on the outside shelf. And I'm going to actually cancel now, because I don't need it cooking anymore. And I'm going to let that release. You don't want to open that while it's... Whoops, there goes a fork. Somebody's going to come visit. So here it's done releasing. Now it's safe to open. If you have pressure in this pressure cooker, you do not want to open it until all of the steam is out, because you could get a really bad burn. You don't want that. So it's off. My valve is all the way over. The little button is down, so it's now safe to open. See me. Woo! Can you see it? So my potatoes are done. They're nice and soft. They're going to mash really nice. So I'm going to drain those and mash them with a little bit of olive oil. And then the little guys in the bottom, the sweet potatoes, I'm going to add to my mix. I'm going to go check on that real quick. I'm going to put the cover on, and I'll go check on my mixture. It's getting nice and thick. It smells really, really good. I'm going to let it go just a little bit longer. Sweet potatoes are nice and soft. I'm going to add them to the mix. Really nice. I'm going to actually lower that a little bit more. I need to drain these, so I'm going to do that. I need 2 hands, so I'm going to shut this off. They're drained, so I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Again, I like a good olive oil, and it's not the brand I usually buy, but we were in this area and that's what they had, so I just add a little bit. I mean, it's not going to whip up like if you're whipping them up at home with butter and you're whipping. I'm going to use a fork, so here we go. Here we go. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to that, and then I'm going to put it on top of the other mixture. I think it's going to be delicious. I can't wait to eat it. Save some potato for Lily, so that's on the side cooling. She doesn't mind that it sits there, so that's for her, and that will be given to her later. That's why she's never leaving my side. She's right there. She knows that's for her. It's in bubbly, and I am going to shut it off, and I'm going to add the potato mixture to it. But first, let's just take a look at the view out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, there we go. you have it. It's on top. It looks really good. There you are. I'm gonna enjoy my dinner, and the sun's gonna set, and bon appetit, everybody.